I'm in freaking class.
Audience, bro.
All right, here we go. Welcome to another edition of the best podcast in the game, the one and only Suga and Sherm. I'm your host, Mike Sherman, along with UFC Hall of Famer Sugar Rashad Evans, and we've got a hell of a cast of individuals today on our show, and I'm just gonna start from right to left. We've got All-Pro former running back, first-round draft choice, University of Miami national champion, LA Rams, Cleveland Gary, number 43. Cleve, thanks so much for coming on our podcast. So happy to see you. We have Dante Stalon, a distant relative of Sly and Frank Stallone. He is a young man that's going to be doing some great things. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you very much.
We've got Billy White, the trainer of Iron Mike Tyson and childhood friend. He grew up with Mike since he was 15, knows Mike like a brother, is a brother, and he's on our show. And we have Peter Phortelo, tattoo artist of the stars in the back. We've got Rourke Smith, businessman, Miami, producer of television, and you know, no introduction for this guy, UFC Hall of Famer Sugar Rashad Evans, and your half host Mike Sherman. So guys, thanks so much for coming on and honoring us with your presence today. Thank you. So this is a crazy show, Rashad. I don't know where to begin. We have so many.
I mean, we invited everybody. So.
We got legends today, man.
We got legends in here.
This is legendary. Stop,
we got
man.
everybody here today.
Me and Cleveland. I want to start with Cleveland because I haven't seen him in a while. Me and Cleveland known each other for a long, long time, 25, 30 years. I remember his days at University of Miami. Cleveland Gary, you were an amazing running back. And you had an illustrious career in what you did, but now you're a businessman. You're doing Wall Street, corporate finance. Tell me about, what it's like to go from the field, to the boardroom and some of your new endeavors you got going on.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you, Mike Shermio.
He calls me Shermio. I've been called Shermanator, Sherm Dog, the Sherm. But this cat calls me Shermio because we go back a long way, and he knows where that comes from.
A long way back. He needs to tell you I used to beat him at wiffle ball.
Not true.
And he would have me out at 1 a.m. until he won a game.
Yeah. Well, just to let you know, Cleveland is one of the only athletes that was drafted in the NFL by the Rams and drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft. So we got an athlete here that can play pretty much any sport. So when I play him in anything, I got to win. And even if I don't win, I'm going to keep going until I try, just like I wrestled you a couple weeks ago.
How'd that go?
How'd that go, Mike?
I want to see the footage.
Is there a video? Yeah.
Nah, you don't want to see that footage. For Mike's sake, you don't want to see that footage.
Oh, man. But Cleveland, man, I love you.
You seen it?
You saw the footage? Let's not talk about that footage, man. That's not funny.
You didn't fare well.
Well, you were there. You were training us.
Yeah.
I could have got him, though.
No, you couldn't.
I did.
No kind
I
of
could
way.
have got him, man. I know the secret. I got to go lower.
Not on your best
He was
day.
too high. He was high, and I got to go lower with him.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, Cleve. First of all, man. So let's talk about your career, NFL career. The NFL's changed so much.
Right.
I mean, it's different now. These kids now are getting $50 million signing bonuses.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. It's guaranteed.
Absolutely.
They're getting it up front. All the landscape of professional sports has changed. These kids are multimillionaires now with this NIL right out of high school, man.
Name, image, and likeness.
Name it, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you would have played today, Cleve, I know we talk about this all the time.
$12 million signing bonus.
Easy, right?
Had I been picked 26 pick today, $12.5 million signing bonus.
Wow.
The game today, Mike, if you with the rules, with the CTE concussions, and
Right.
I think it's great for the players, but the game truly has changed a great deal.
It has.
It's softer. Professional football today is pretty much a 7-on-7. It's 7-on-7 because of the health issues and what have you. And the guys are making a whole lot more money.
So they don't have the heart, you're saying? They're not really putting it into like you guys did.
I can't say they don't have the heart. You only know what you know. You can't miss what you never had. I mean, back in the day, you can hit a quarterback from anywhere, any place, anytime, as long as the whistle is live. But you can't. You touch him, he's down. That's it. You can hit above the waist. There's just, the rules have truly changed, and guys are making so much money. For an example, I have a cousin who just signed, seventh pick, $25 million.
For a 7th round draft choice.
He was 7th pick in the,
seventh pick in the first round. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, a young kid, $15 million signing bonus. You know,
God
to,
bless
you
him.
know,
Is that baseball
football.
or football? At
He
15?
would speak to the Giants. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the game has changed a lot. Players are making a whole lot money. I just can't substantiate,
I can't.
paying
I
a
can't.
kid that much money,
Right.
that young of an age.
But you know what,
It's
Cleve? If they're going to
mind-boggling.
give it, you might as well take it.
You might as well take it.
These owners are they're writing checks.
And Cleve, what do you tell these kids when you see them having this big opportunity and having more money than they ever imagined? Like, what do you tell these kids?
Think about it, Rashad. When you have parents, especially if you came from a disadvantaged area, let's keep it real. Were never exposed to that kind of money, and it's not. You can't say anything to them. They're so guarded at that point. Investment advisors coming out of the yin yang, and just hopefully they manage their money well. I tell guys, I say, hey, put it in munis, put it in some kind of tax-free savings, and just go to work. Buy some annuities. Keep it really simple. Don't make it difficult. It's money. Managing money is very easy. It's not difficult.
Does they even listen?
I'm sorry?
Does they even listen?
Do they listen to you?
I think that
From my perspective, it's kind of hard to coach somebody who just dropped the like some ball of some like sausage, or and you got a ball of sauce, right? And you never get ready. Somebody can tell you about it. Right now you're swimming in the money. Do you think what's your what you think about it? Do you think it's even coachable? Somebody who's 15, 16, you're gonna give him advices. Is it even does they even listen? Mm-hmm. Because when I was young, somebody's gonna tell you that oh, you should do this or you should do that. Now young people gonna be probably this. Who you are? You telling me? I live in my life.
Exactly.
But they listen a little bit.
I just
now.
made it to the contract.
Yeah.
I just made it to the the performance that I'm paid.
right. Yeah.
What I just want to know, do you, I understand you try to best for them, as a parenting or whoever, got experiences what you got, does they even listen,
I think it can be very confusing. Number one, what kid doesn't want a nice big home, nice car?
Right.
But when you read the horror stories of past athletes who've made so-called a lot of money and all of a sudden they're broke, I think it's mixed emotions. I think it boils down to having good parenting growing up, because those kids are going to listen to their parents.
Yeah.
And so if the parents have their head screwed on right, but you've had horror stories where, I don't want to mention any names on your podcast.
You
but,
can mention names. It's all free here.
Well, a great friend, you think about, I've read, it was public information. Bernie Kosar was a brilliant guy. That's my boy, quarterback, University of Miami. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. He graduated in 3 years. Brilliant academia. Mm-hmm. But him and his father had a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the money was gone. It wasn't because he was stupid. This is a brilliant man.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Mike? I mean, Ross.
Well, you know what, Billy, that brings me to you. Like with Mike Tyson, you and Mike, you go back so long, and you saw Mike become the youngest heavyweight champion in history, and then everybody's coming at him, and they're trying to tell him to do this and do that and do this. What is a young kid to do, man? Like, what would, how do you handle all that type of pressure when they're coming at you when you're a champion and they're all waving all this kind of money at you? And I mean, what was the situation? Did you try to help Mike out when he was a young kid and going into the next phase of his professional career?
Hey, look, I was on his first test drive in his first Cadillac, and it was a great ride.
Yeah.
And I compare it with the ride in life, because it was, all the way down the road and back. I'm just trying to say to you that you don't know until you lived the life and walked in the same man's shoes. You know what I mean? I once met a man who had no feet, had no shoes. Okay? That's an old saying. I once met a man who had no shoes, and I complained until I had no shoes. I complained until I met a man who had no feet. So you can't complain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to explain to you, when you eat out of garbage cans, then you can judge him. Everybody likes to judge him for losing his money.
Right.
Hey man, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Give anybody $100, see if they turn it into $2, or see if they come up with 0 in 24 hours.
Yeah, it gets hard for young athletes because you're throwing a lot of money and you're throwing so much opportunity. And at one point, it seems as if like the money train is never going to stop because it comes in so easy. And you start to kind of lose respect for the value of a dollar because it comes in so easy. But you really don't get true perspective until you start to realize that it's burning a lot faster than you think, and then you start to, be like, shit, I gotta find some way to kind of, head this off. But sometimes it may be too late, and a lot of times you get in situations where you're with people who may seem to have your best interest at heart, but they're robbing you blind on the low, and they don't really educate you on, what the value of your dollar is and how to make your money work for you without, exchanging your time for the money. And that's the true matter. That's the true wealth is being able to get to a point where you're not exchanging your time for the money. That's where you want to get to. And few people ever get there.
Great point.
I had a long talk with one NFL client of mine, and he was telling me about his story is kind of cool, but on another side, it's kind of sad because soon as he made it aside a contract, all his surrounding, what he knows, who he grew up with, he tried to help out, and let's say give his best friend his car because he could afford another one, and they want more. Right now, half of his family doesn't talk to him because they're expecting way more from him because, you got enough and, you owe us because we grew up together. And one time I was actually listening to Mike Tyson's stories, and I love when he's expressing all this. He sees emotions from, going to up and downs. And he was saying like how many leashes, was right on him. Like soon as he started to be famous and got to the point that he get famous, and I think the society can make you or break you.
Really, that's a great point, Pete. Mike Tyson wrote a book. What was the name of the book he wrote?
Iron Ambition.
Iron Ambition. And he wrote some really heavy stuff in that book. And a lot of people, we went out to dinner, you and me and Mike, to Komodo in Miami. And there was 3 hockey players behind us that played in the NHL. Okay? One was an African American. He played for the Montreal Canadiens. The other one played for, I think, the Coyotes. The other one was in minor league. And
Nico
one of them,
Blanchman.
and they were right next to us, and they read his book, and he pulled his tattoo up. He had a big tattoo on his leg, and he said, "I'm such a big Mike Tyson fan. I read his book, and I remember the phrase." What was the phrase he said? He had it tattooed on his leg.
Day by day in every way, Cuss's mantra that he gave to us. When Cuss grew up,
Cuss the motto.
What was tattooed was, day by day in every way, I am getting better and better. He had it tattooed to his leg. And he tapped me on the shoulder. He goes, "Hey, I want to show you something."
That was surreal right there.
Yes, it was.
You got Tyson right there, and Mike, was in one of his.
And that was
Mike
our
moves.
mantra. Cuss handed us that. When Cuss was growing up in the early 1920s, that was a popular saying. Back in the 1800s, French psychologist Emile Coué actually is how you pronounce it, he made this statement up, and it was popular for Cuss and all his generation. All the years later, he handed that saying to us in the gym, so that day by day in every way, we're getting better and better. Day by day in every way, you're getting better and better. You had to say that 50 times at night, 50 times in the morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed. That's affirmations, man.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Very
We
powerful.
talked about it earlier.
Very powerful.
Dante Stalon. Okay, you have some relatives, Frank and Sly are in your family blood. Mm-hmm. You met Mike Tyson just a few minutes ago for the first time,
Yep,
right?
Just today, yeah.
Okay, with Coach Billy White.
Uh-huh.
What was your experience when you met the champ?
I mean, it was surreal, because, Mike Tyson is such a giant pop figure, I've been seeing him on TV, social media since I was young, and I really love what he represents, like courage, determination, things like that, all the things a great fighter has. So, that motivates me to get in the gym, train, all that type of stuff.
Well, you got the pedigree. I mean, now Billy White is a hell of a trainer. I mean, what kind of relationship did you see between Mike and Billy when you just met these guys?
Oh, they look like they were best friends, just sitting around chatting.
It's great to see.
He just, and no offense, but he omitted discipline. And the best part of discipline is what Cuss said, doing something you hate, but doing it like you love it, and that's what
I think that's the most
that's
important
what
part.
training
Yeah,
is
and I
about.
left that
Yeah.
out.
You got to get up in the morning. You got to go do it no matter what.
1% better every
You know?
day.
Yeah, and Mike right now is different because he's got this surrender nature to himself where he's accepted the worst parts about himself, the best parts about himself, and he's not afraid to be vulnerable. And that's as a fighter, that's something you try not to be at all. But he's got this this energy about him because he's kind of shed the fear of being vulnerable, and which allows him to kind of be more expansive and really relate to a lot more people. So, Mike has just been expiring, as a fighter, but I think now later in life he's inspiring in a different kind of way.
Exactly.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Cleve? You and Rashad have a common denominator. Obviously, you're both professional athletes. You both were champions. What was the motivational factor, okay, for you to get to the NFL, to be the best running back in the league? And what was your motivational factor to come out of Niagara, New York, through Michigan State and be a UFC Hall of Famer? I mean, was there something that you guys had in your head that said, I'm not going to fail, I gotta be that person I know I can be? Cleve, why don't you go real quick?
Organically, I never thought of it that way. I never really thought about the NFL until my junior year in college. I had a son in college.
Wow, it's young.
And I knew he had to eat. And it changed everything. Now, I'm not saying I didn't have aspirations or passion of being the best running back, being the number one running back in high school out of in the country and top rated, top recruited guy. But, everybody's story is different. I went through a period in my life where I was ineligible. So I got, I just said, man, I'm never going to make it to the pros. I only played 1 year of college football.
Yeah, that's it.
And set the single season record that stands at Miami today.
Wow.
And was number 1 draft pick.
For touchdowns out of the backfield.
Yeah, and most receptions.
Right.
Wow.
Ever. Never been broken to this day. But
You got great hands as a running back.
well, but beyond the talent, as Rashad can relate to this, there's a burning desire that will, if the green light comes on, the talent is there. You get in a zone, and I even cracked my ribs my senior year, but I was going to play. I had 1 year. Nothing was going to stop me from taking UM back to the national championship, being a first team All-American and being the best. I don't know. The lights just came on. Coach Johnson and I are really cool.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, one of the greatest coaches. But the lights didn't come on for me until my senior year. I'm intrigued to hear what
Yeah, and I want to hear
Rashad.
how did this happen? Because you came from
Well,
a small
I had a
town.
daughter too when I was in college,
Oh wow.
my second year. But for me, it was chasing a feeling. Like I enjoyed the feeling of what it means to compete and be the one that's on the line, the mano-a-mano competition, and I always felt like that right there was the biggest challenge for me because I was afraid. I had this fear, but at the same time I had this confidence, and I knew if I can get past that fear inside myself, then there was nobody that can beat me. So I would go for these runs and I would just beat the dog shit out of myself. Like I'd go for run for like an hour or two, and I'll just be thinking and have this music on in my mind, and I would just envision myself, like winning and people screaming my name and just like me achieving all these great things. And I didn't even know what I was even going to achieve yet. But for me, it was always just about chasing that feeling of that feeling of competition where I'm afraid, but at the same time I'm excited. And that feeling was my guide, and it took me all the way to the UFC.
But when you had your daughter, Rashad, didn't that raise that bar of intensity?
It raised it, yeah. Having my daughter was huge for me because it was like, I wanted to give her what I never had. I grew up and it wasn't the easiest growing up, and I was like, man, I want to make sure that she never had to go through what I had to go through. So I wanted every single thing that I did to count. I went to junior college and I graduated from junior college, and then I was like, man, I need to do something else. I need to keep going, reaching for the sky. So then I went to Michigan State, and I had a coach who was trying to recruit me to go to Ithaca, which was a D3 school, but then he told me that I couldn't compete at a Division I school. So I was like, yeah. You shouldn't have told me that. So then I went to Michigan State to compete at a Division One school.
You got
So
the
it's
Sherman
always-
effect. Prove 'em
Yeah.
wrong, right, Mikey?
That's it.
That's it. So it was always me just kind of reaching for that next level and me just challenging myself.
And what they're describing is Custer's strategy of 80% mental conditioning and 20% physical training. But they had what's described as the will to win inside of them both.
So when Cuss,
That's what Cleveland and Rashad
oh no,
had.
these guys are
They
champions.
had,
There's no
yes, they
question.
are. They
When
had the confidence of champions.
When Cuss got Mike from Brooklyn, New York, and he brought him to Catskill, New York, where you guys were, and put him in the house, and said, this kid's got something special, right? You knew right then and there that Tyson, Mike, was going to be a champion, right? You told me that many times.
You don't know it until you see it with your own eyes in action.
I was
Always
about to
speaks
say, man,
louder than words.
you know he's going to be a champ just watching him, right?
Well, you don't know it first until you see anybody work out. A lot of guys walk through the gym, and we got to the point where we'd say, how long do you think that guy's going to last? But you never said that with Mike because you knew he would. He would spend endless hours.
What was that turning point?
Doing
Like, who did he
everything.
fight? Who did he spar with? Where you said, holy shit, this guy's going to be a friggin' monster. And when did you
You just
really...
knew it. The more he fought in the Junior Olympics, and when he won it twice, 2 years in a row, and Cuss had a banner put up on Main Street, and it's a confidence builder. Everything he did for us was confidence builders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I call it King Kong confidence. You don't care if it's King Kong in the other corner. If it's King Kong, you're going in there because Cuss thinks you can. You know?
Yeah.
One good friend of mine, she played the tennis professionally. She was number 2 in the world for a very, very short period of time. And she got a shitload of friends from tennis, world and stuff like that. And she said that, from all these people, because biggest star in a female, Serena Williams, all of these guys, they follow up. It's a lot of spotlight on her,
Yeah.
she's been, she's an icon, obviously, of the tennis. She's been for years, champions and stuff. So there's a lot of eyes on her she don't even know. So people care what she do and how she's training.
No, there's no question.
Her-
Dante,
And her career,
Yeah.
they were telling me that she barely trains. But her mindset is so determined.
It's focused.
Her mindset is just so strong.
Yeah,
and,
it's
and
focused.
even my friend, she got dropped by her trainer because she's, he said that, you don't have that cold-blooded mentality. You breaking easy under the pressure in a certain things. She was playing Azarenka, what was number 1 that time.
yeah.
And she beat her first set like
Beat her ass.
she just beat the fuck out of her like first she lost so bad she broke the tennis racket on the thing, and the second set she started and she just run through her. She just recouped the mind.
Yeah.
And and she she got dropped by her trainer
Yeah.
because they say
sucked.
you have to be cold-blooded.
Right.
You gotta be cold-blooded. There's no emotions has place in that stuff. You have to be focused and do the thing what it is. And they say Serena doesn't. She barely trained.
Well, that's a great point. But Cleve, you just asked Rashad before we start this podcast when he's beating somebody's ass in the octagon, okay, and the dude's bleeding and he's like gasping for his life. And, you said, do you let up on him or not? And Rashad, what was your answer to that?
That's the best part about it. That's the best part. Like you look to get that in a fight. Like when my favorite part in the fight was not when I got my hand raised. It was the very moment when I knew that he knew that he was gonna lose. Like and they're breaking.
You break him?
When you break him, like when you because it's
And he's
it's a
bloodied, and you want to finish him?
yeah, because
doesn't have to be
that's the game.
It's like the video game.
The whole
Finish
game,
him.
the whole fight.
Mortal
game is
Kombat.
this. The whole fight. game is this.
Right?
We can think about the X's and O's and what skill versus skill, but at the very primitive
Finish
level,
him.
it's about me imposing my will on you and you trying to impose your will on me.
Wow, it's
And when
deep.
I impose my will on you
It's deep.
and I know that
It
you've
is.
accepted it,
Jeez,
then that
deep.
right there is a moment that I know
That's a
that
deep
that
shit.
right there is the highest moment for
You
me.
did the
That's
same
why I
thing
think
in
MMA is
football.
this.
You were running back. You wanted to stiff
Well,
on the
it's,
dude, knock his head off.
well, it's different when you have gear, protective gear, but in
Come on,
boxing
you went out there as
and
a
M&A,
warrior.
but in M&A, you're punching somebody in the face. You're brutally, physically demoralizing that guy. You're just
I
trying to
think it's the
destroy
purest
that
form of
guy.
competition.
I'm like,
It's
oh
just
my
one man
gosh.
against another man.
Rashad said it best.
Rashad,
Plus,
hey, I
just
wanted to
said-
hear his perspective. That's why I came here today.
Yeah, I hear you.
I wanted to hear
I'm
his
with you.
perspective.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I want to know
Cuss
what
said exactly how Rashad fought. Will overcome skill. Will overcome skill 9 times out of 10.
What do you mean by that?
Unless the skill is so great. But here's the best part. He not only had the will and the desire to win, that burning desire, and he dug down deep, and he won. He's a champion. He's champion, man. Forever. Forever, bro. They can't steal that from you.
Me and Billy, we started to work together with the John Jones fight. I was a big.
So you
Mike
two
Tyson
know each
fan.
other?
Yeah, I brought him out for my camp for John Jones.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I brought him
man,
off my
come
camp
on.
for John
We
Jones.
Are you
broke the
kidding
show
me?
here, right?
I saw
Okay.
him
Oh, well, why
out.
didn't you say that?
I was a big fan of the peekaboo style and Mike
John
Tyson style.
Jones, arguably one of the greatest fighters of all time.
And
UFC.
I saw Billy out. Where were you at the time? You were like in New York or?
Yeah, I was in Catskill.
Yeah,
actually.
Catskill.
Yeah.
And I saw Billy out and I have him come down for. How long did I have you come down for? Like a few weeks.
You got injured. And,
Yeah.
and we broke camp, and that was
Yeah.
it.
But he
You
almost won
fought
that
him-
fight.
You fought him a year or so later, but
Yeah.
there's
But-
so many coaches in UFC.
Yeah.
No offense to you or any of
No,
the
but
coaches.
that was
That's
a
just
problem.
how it is.
Yeah.
So we didn't get enough time.
Yeah, the
together.
biggest problem that we didn't get enough time together. It was like too many people vying for that spot, right? To be the one, you know. But that's what I saw Billy back then, and I was like, dude, I want to learn the style, and we started to work on a peekaboo style and how to adjust it for MMA. But that's where me and Billy first met.
I did not know
Yeah.
that, dude.
Yeah.
Billy, you never told me that. You guys are like, like blood brothers.
Oh,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Small world. You had no idea they knew each other?
No, I knew they knew each other because I know
Okay.
Mike Tyson and Billy and Rashad. They're all one big family. Of course. But I
Right.
didn't know that he trained him for the John Jones fight
Right.
because that was a pinnacle fight. That was a
great
fight.
fight.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight, man.
I always thought that Rashad, look, his strength is, and you always follow your strength.
Strength is his
Is
dimples, man.
That's
his strength.
He's a great
His
wrestler.
$1 million smile.
It's
Yeah.
just John Jones is a freak of nature.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's so tall, and you got to worry about his knees getting inside. But it's the cuss angles that Cuss provided.
Did someone that
his
help you
style.
that he told you in that
It
fight?
certainly would have and could have.
Yeah,
it takes time.
we didn't get enough
Doesn't
time.
happen
We didn't get enough time, and during that time, it was like the first real big fight
Oh, yeah.
that our camp had. So you had a lot of coaches who came out of the woodworks and was kind of like wanting to have the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to be out there. So I mean, we were on. We had like a little prime show. They came and followed us around, and it was like a little build up to the fight.
That's big.
Yeah, it was
That's one of the
big.
biggest fights ever.
That's
It
huge.
was,
I
it
saw
was a
it.
big deal at the time. Yeah, it
I
was a
spent
huge
my
big
money.
deal.
I saw it.
But if you take him down, now it's
Yeah.
your ball game.
Yeah,
Now he's
100%.
got to play your ball game.
Yeah,
Now, Dante,
He's just so elusive.
yeah,
And kudos to him. One of the all-time greats.
absolutely.
Yeah, he is. Did you grow up watching boxing? Being that you're Frank.
Not
and-
really
and Sly?
boxing, more UFC, MMA stuff.
Did you watch UFC stuff?
Yeah.
Were you a Rashad Evans fan growing up?
Of course.
You
You
better
gonna
say
put him
that.
on the
You-
spot,
you-
Mike. What do you say? No,
get
like
punched
dang,
in
you
the-
know what? I gotta tighten him up.
Never heard of him. Come
Who's
on.
that?
Watch what's going to happen after the fucking podcast.
No, but I mean, it was a fun ride, and now I look back and I'm just filled with so many fond memories, and just the richness that comes with the sport is not the money you made, but it's just the people that you're able to connect with and the relationships that you made along the way. And right now, now that I have the time to nurture those relationships, I'm just like, dang, I'm realizing the true wealth of me competing on that stage.
Cuss said it best. Boxing's life. Life is boxing. And outside the ring, in and out of the ring, you're a true champion. Every morning when you wake up, man, throw your hands in the air. You're a champion forever, bro.
Yeah, he loves you,
Never
man.
forget that.
Let me tell you something, Billy Boy.
That's my
He's
guy.
the best, man.
He is the best. I want to switch gears.
Inside and out, great person. I'm
He's
not
the
talking
greatest,
just
man.
in the ring.
There's nobody.
I'm
There's nobody
talking
better.
outside the ring.
No,
Man.
he's
You don't
amazing.
find him better than Rashad.
Oh man.
You know what? Usually we have these podcasts where we have one guest, it's me and Rashad, and we both kick. But we got an array of people today, so which brings up like a current event that's happened recently that I want to kind of dive into a little bit. I want to talk about Kanye West a little bit. I want to talk about Kanye's comments about DEFCON 3 and White Lives Matter, because it's an event and it's something to be spoken about. Cleveland, what do you think about Kanye West? He lost all his endorsements, his sponsors. He went out and said some crazy stuff, bipolar. I mean, what's your feedback on that? Your take on that?
Well, I'm mixed about it. The guy's a billionaire.
Not anymore.
Former,
Well, Forbes
whatever.
dropped him, right?
Adidas dropped.
Well,
him.
Adidas,
No, but I think he
Adidas
came out of
dropped
the
him.
Forbes list.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
came, okay. The bottom line,
You're right.
growing up as a kid, you have to go way back to the root, to the stem. Grew up, father was Black Panther, educated, rapper, grew up in these,
Chicago.
Chicago, tough neighborhoods. And all of a sudden he comes into a lot of wealth. The people that are around you can have a profound impact on you in a negative way. And if you don't stay grounded, realize and understand who you are as a person, where you came from, you can never forget the bridges, the people that saw you over those troubled bridges. He had a tough time. He was not born in wealth. So he has to be responsible and accountable for his actions.
I get it.
But coming up from where I think a lot of those comments were unwarranted.
Right.
I don't know why he said what he said. It wasn't necessary to say what he said. It just wasn't, Mike. The key is the guy is a billionaire, young. Use that energy to impact
In a positive way.
in a positive way. The younger folk that are coming up, not to hit somebody below the belt. That was unwarranted.
Right.
And I just pray and hope that Kanye realizes it's just about just staying in the game, loving people, giving as much as you can, trying to make a difference as a human being versus, trying to be this.
But he's a little bipolar, though, so maybe some of those things that he didn't really know, What do you think, Billy?
It's hard. I don't judge people, man. I just don't judge them. I accept them for who they are with me. I don't care what they do out in the public. Look, man, I got a friend on death row. Okay, he's been there 30 years. I don't condone what he did, but I was his friend then. Before it happened, I'm his friend now. You know what I mean? Even if you're out of touch for a while.
What do you think, Dante?
One might argue that he did it on purpose to get out of all those deals, so he didn't have to buy himself.
I heard that
I
too.
don't think the method was appropriate, obviously, but that's one way to look at it.
What do you think, baby?
I think that Kanye has experienced a level of understanding that a lot of us don't know. We're part of a social engineering project, and we've all been social engineered to think a certain kind of way. And who knows, what perspective he's coming from. I don't agree with a lot of things that he said, but I do think at some point that he was speaking from, his truth, and the way he's seeing things and the way he sees things going right now. I think our country's in a position right now where there's a lot of misunderstanding about what's going on in general on a lot of different aspects, from health, from political, from all these different angles, from where we're even headed as a country, So there's a lot of things that are in flux, and when you have a lot of things in flux, it leaves different interpretations, right? And these loose interpretations can be very
Volatile.
volatile. They can be very divisive in what he's saying, but I don't feel like his intent was to be divisive. I think it was to tell from his truth. He shouldn't have said some things, because some things will get people to not listen to what you're really trying to say overall. But I feel like there was an overall message, but it fell on a lot of deaf ears because of what he said when he got somebody, when he crossed a certain line.
But who here or in the whole world hasn't said something they regret?
Yeah,
we
of
all
course.
have. We all make mistakes, man.
Not all of us have the platform, though.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Back to Mike Tyson, man. Friendship for going on for how many years? You guys been friends? 50 years?
1980 we met.
Wow, that's a long time. How do you guys stay? How is that bond so solid after 50 years?
I don't know, man. It's just friendship, man. You got loyalty. Cuss taught us loyalty, and that's what it's about.
You know, that
We're
Customato
just
guy,
teammates, friend mates. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
friends, man.
Customato must have been such an influential individual in your life because I speak to you almost on a daily basis, and there's always a phrase or a catchphrase that comes out. Customer did this, customer did that. He must have been like in your ear all the time because your whole life. I think if it wasn't for Cuss, you went through a lot of stuff in your life. You've had some ups and downs, you know. You've had some.
We all have.
Yeah, and but you said Cuss. Those phrases, Cuss kind of saved your life a couple times. You know, he must have been something really. You know, I could see you getting a little teared up. You know, Cuss. He was really something special, huh?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Father figure.
And Mike too. Every time I talk about
Yeah.
Cuss with Mike, he's always getting all teared up.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
You know, because that guy must have been, you know, so instrumental
Highly influential.
to young guys.
Yeah, we got lucky. We
Yeah.
got lucky in the game.
He was a great coach, great,
Yeah.
you know,
Great mentor.
and like a philosopher. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, he's
Yeah.
like a stoic, just being able to philosophically be able to get
Yeah.
in people's minds.
Just the little things he did for us. You know?
Yeah.
Again, 80% mental conditioning. You had to put your left glove on first. I don't know if you remember that, but when we start training again,
Yeah.
we're going to do that. Left
Yeah.
glove first. You can win the fight with just your jab, he'd say. And he'd walk away with your right-handed glove, with your right glove. Like, oh, where's he going? I got to get in the ring with one hand. Okay, I guess that's how I got to do it today. Then you'd get in the ring, and he'd walk back over and put it on. But he let you think about that all you need is your jab to win the fight. That's confidence builder.
That is.
Billy, why is Mike Tyson now so much more popular than ever before? Why is so many people coming at him now for endorsements, for speaking engagements? I mean, why is he like in the public eye so much more? Because when I'm with him now, he's just like, you know, everybody wants to see Mike. They want to meet Mike. He's like a changed man.
Muhammad Ali handed the torch over to Mike, and now he's the most popular face on the planet. Think about how he's just humble now, and not to say he wasn't then, but he's just got a great personality. People don't know that. The media created a monster back when. And again, hey man, we all made mistakes. He made a few, he's the first to admit it. But the best part is you grow from it, and he's grown, he's become a chameleon, a phoenix. He's risen out from all the ashes. Whenever they keep him down, he gets back up. And that's what life is. Cuss said that best. Boxing's life. Life is boxing. You get knocked down, you get back up. And you fight to the finish. And that's what life is. He's fighting to the finish right now. He says it best. You never know the date we're out of here. You just don't know, man. And that's why you got to breathe and laugh. And we decided to laugh our way through the rest of our lives, man. That's the only way we know how that works.
That's it.
That's sick.
He speaks with an honesty that just kind of like
it's brutally honest.
that just cuts
times
through the bullshit.
Can't
He
handle
does.
it.
And that
And it
honesty
goes
is
towards
like
what you said
Mike
earlier.
Tyson,
It's
he's
refreshing,
always
man.
honest when he speaks.
Yeah,
he never sugarcoats anything.
and people
And I
can
think
relate
it's
to
got-
that.
It comes with probably the drop, you know. Like he just dropped down so low from all that fucking spotlights, what he had, all the fame and stuff, and everybody was like dirting on him. I think the transformation, what he goes through, in my eyes, you know, like I see like rebuilded man. Remember what I mentioned that you know, like the meme. You know, like that meme just resonates so much in my nothing is stronger than broken man rebuilding himself.
You met Mike Tyson, Cleveland. I took you up to
Yeah.
the place. What was it like? I mean, you're a former athlete. I mean, he was
Nice guy. Yeah,
Inspirational,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Matter of fact, I was trying to get out of the building. He said, hey, hold on, Gary. Hold on, Gary. Let me get your number, Gary. So I've called Mike a couple times after that, and we talked. Really nice guy. I was nervous around him.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to say I wasn't. I didn't want to get hit.
I mean, Mike is still Mike. You know what I'm saying?
But he's really nice guy. Really nice guy.
He was a cool guy. I want to
cool
bring up
guy.
one thing. Billy, you remember this. These youngsters, Dante and Roy probably remembers this. Cleveland Gary was playing for the University of Miami in 1988. You got drafted in 89, right? So it was the 88 season. You guys were undefeated, okay? And you went into Michigan. Okay, Cleve.
Okay. I'm waiting.
You went into Michigan. You ran for a couple hundred yards.
162 yards.
162 yards.
Yeah.
And then you
Love it.
played. Then you went to Notre Dame.
Right.
And then they said you fumbled that
Set a
football.
record that day.
Yeah, okay, but they said
Yeah.
they said your knee was down, man.
It was a touchdown.
It was a
The
touchdown.
ground cannot cause a fumble.
That's right.
It
I
was
know
a
what I
you
did.
remember that?
I dove.
You remember
and
that game?
I spiked the
He
ball.
gets asses all the time, so I got to
Yeah.
ask him right up front.
Airports everywhere I go.
You got,
Every day of my
Really?
life. I got
yeah,
to
the 30
live
for
with that
30
every day of
special
my
with
life.
the U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
biggest
That's-
part of the whole show.
Yeah, the most
Yeah.
controversial play in college football
It's
history.
such bullshit. And I want to say it right now, after all these years, that was bullshit. That was a touchdown.
That was two national
and it cost you
championships.
about $10 million.
Absolutely.
Because you would have been a number top 5 pick. You would have been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And University of Miami would have been undefeated for 2 years in a row with 2 national champions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't have the replay back then.
Oh man.
Man, it was awful, bro.
The replay.
It was awful. His knee was down.
Yeah.
It was against Notre
What
Dame
year
in
was it?
South Bend, 89.
Yeah, we had won the national championship in '87. We
No, it was
were
88. It was
undefeated.
88.
We were 12-0, and we were unbeatable. So that year, coming into the next year, we had like 7 guys get drafted in the
Michael
first
Irvin,
round.
I mean,
So Deion Sanders coming into the senior, they were ranked number 1. They did a rap song.
I remember that.
They should have never
Oh,
done that
yeah,
rap
that's
song.
FSU song.
They did that rap song.
Primetime song.
That pissed us off,
for
Rashad.
30. I see
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that rap song. So I ran Deion Sanders over in
I know that.
the first touchdown of the game. We beat him 31-0, and so we became number 1. But man, college football. Jimmy was happy.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson, man, he has a great career, man.
One of the greatest
Deion,
coaches.
Beautiful soul.
Absolutely.
Old school, man. Old school coach. You see him on 60 Minutes.
So, let's talk about
He's telling you
that.
like it is. He tells his players, and they can't handle it.
So,
The administration can't handle it.
Dion is amazing. Dion
Deion's
went to
the
a black
best.
college.
Absolutely.
What is it called, the black college?
Jackson State.
No, what's the name of the...
Jackson State.
No, I know it's Jackson State, but it's a special...
HBCU.
HBCU. So
Right.
HBCU is
Right.
Jackson State, Southern, Grambling, and he took this program that has no facility. You saw it on 60 Minutes. And he turned it into a really competitive program where he's recruiting these really great athletes that normally would go to Ohio State, Miami, USC.
What a beautiful soul to do that
Unbelievable.
in the game of life.
Absolutely.
And he almost lost his leg.
Yeah,
He almost
yeah,
lost his
yeah,
foot. He had
yeah.
gangrene in his foot, and he had 2 toes cut off.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the guy that ran a 4.140, probably the fastest guy ever.
Yes.
In the NFL,
Arguably
ever.
without question.
You would ask Dion how
Yeah.
fast do you run the 40. He would say, depends who I'm racing. He never really just ran it for you. He said, "Let's go," like that, right?
Oh yeah. He's
But what an amazing individual, What an amazing individual, and
Yeah.
you're good friends with Dion, man.
Oh, yeah.
Until this day, you guys
Yeah.
have mutual respect for each other.
Oh yeah. I like what he's doing. I think Eddie George, also out of Ohio State,
Yeah.
who won the Heisman Trophy.
Sure.
He's also a head coach of a HBCU school.
Oh, is he also?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just giving kids hope.
I think it's great.
A lot
man.
of great
This should-
athletes.
This should have been done
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't that not done? I mean, you guys are African Americans. You came out of D1 programs. Give back.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, and so it'll bring the parity up a little bit.
It does, because it gets kids coming out of high school interested in going where they really want to go. Because
Right.
a lot of kids out of high school got these little mamas, these little girls, they want to chase them to the HBCU schools. But HBCU schools have suffered a great deal financially. If you take a Notre Dame who plays against a FAMU, Notre Dame is going to make $4 million. That HBCU school will make about $475,000.
Right.
So if you have more guys coming to HBCU schools, and also with the NIL, name, image, and likeness, it creates a whole new paradigm for college football. It makes it a more equilibrium platform.
You would have been paid big money back in the day in college. So were you. I mean, at Michigan
Absolutely.
State, you guys would have been cashing checks. I mean, who's that fighter we just saw? The young kid, the crazy kid. I love him though, from Oklahoma State. The wrestler. Ferrari. AJ Ferrari.
Yeah, AJ.
Is
This
somebody
kid-
named Ferrari?
Yeah.
Last
This
name
kid
Ferrari?
is AJ. I love you, man. I love you. He is like, he's gonna be a superstar. Either
It's something.
What position?
It's something. He's a wrestler.
Okay.
He's an NCAA National Collegiate Champion wrestler, but he is so charismatic, and he is like
He's a character.
he's a character, man.
Okay.
Some things he says, may not be the greatest at times, but some things he says are awesome.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
yeah.
He was at national
Yeah.
championship. Last year, he got in a car accident. Thank God, nothing happened to him. I loved him. I met him with Rashad at a UFC fight. But this kid's making checks. He's got rollies. He's got cars. I mean, he's
College?
in college. In college, he's 20 years old. But you're gonna see this kid like the WWE or maybe the UFC. But I think he's gonna go WWE because he's got that, you know.
I don't know. He's been training MMA a lot, so
Has he really?
Yeah, he has been. So I mean, he's an entertainer.
He's an entertainer.
He understands that part, and I feel like, you know, the best thing about, you know, MMA and the UFC is the fact that it's given a lot of people who would just go to wrestling and try to go to the Olympic level another outlet, right?
Yeah, sure.
And now you're seeing more people with different kind of characters and, you know, really getting the game from an entertainment point of view,
Right.
getting into the fight game. So they understand that, yeah, it's more than just about being a good fighter. It's about having the total package and
Yes.
truly understanding that you are entertaining people.
I think that's the Mike Tyson's biggest, you know, like the I wouldn't say, I don't know him personally, but the value in the eyes of people. You know, he was always such a charismatic, you know, like,
Why did you like him in Slovakia?
dude, Mike Tyson is only athlete what I ever in my life cut off out of the magazine and saved the pictures.
Wow.
He was for me icon as a
Wow.
somebody like I mean, like I grew up, you know, like you got some vision.
What about Muhammad Ali?
How you gonna be?
ever-
Yeah, but Ali was for me, you know, like more.
You're
you know,
too
like,
young for Muhammad.
I wasn't. I
you're
was
young,
born in the
sir.
'76.
Oh,
you
you're
know?
young. Yeah,
So,
yeah, he's
Ali
young.
for
You're a
me
youngster.
Was, you know, like for me, Ali was more fighter for the equal rights. You know, like I never really follow up his fights. We never had internet back in the days over there.
Right,
You know,
right,
so
right.
Mike was that prime when I was in you know, like the young high
Got it.
school, and you
Okay.
know, that was for me icon what I want to be like the manly kind of thing. You know, like and in my eyes, you know, like Mike wasn't sportsman. Mike's was for me warrior. The way of the warrior, how I carry myself like all my life. I want to be, you know, somebody who trains, be the trustworthy and strong, you know, like backbone of the family one day.
Right.
For me, Mike was icon. You know, that was my, you know, like I was looking up, you know, like to the people like back in the days like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, or Sylvester Stallone, but it was only
That's his half brother, by the way.
one and only athlete who I ever collected pictures of, you know?
Interesting. But I suggest strongly study Muhammad Ali. Not just one of the greatest men in the ring.
I did later, but you know, like
He's one of the greatest men who ever walked the face of the earth.
Mike Tyson is if you say Mike, who's besides Customato, or as it relates to sports, who's the one sports athlete
Holyfield.
you just admire, look up
Muhammad
to?
Ali was
He's going
mine.
to tell you Muhammad Ali all day.
Yeah. that
Because
was mine.
Muhammad Ali was not only a great fighter, he stood for something.
Yes.
To me,
He stood for
in a time that wasn't.
if I ever have any kids,
You know,
He stood
I'm
up
gonna
for
name him
himself. He
Cassius.
stood up for every man, but
That's
every
for
man
sure.
didn't realize that at the time. But
Yeah.
they do
Right.
now.
Yeah.
I would name my kid Cassius.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would.
I would name my kid
great
Cash
name.
Mike.
Cash money.
Cash money, right?
Cash Mike.
Yeah, Cash Mike. Well, Billy, man, listen, it's been amazing. I want to thank you for coming here on the show today, dude.
Honor and pleasure,
We
Sean.
could kick it with you
Sean.
and talk about Mike Tyson
Love
for
it, brother.
hours. Dante Stalon, thank you for coming on the show today,
Thank
bro.
you for inviting me.
That
First
was-
podcast.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, you know, we had a bunch of people.
Nervous as shit.
Nah,
They did great.
Oh, he's a kick-ass vibe over here. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. A man with not many words. My brother Peter.
Oh, you're still back there?
We love
I'm
you,
hiding
Pete.
in the corner.
We love you, Pete Rourke, man. I love you for coming out here. Cleveland Gary, my brother from
Hey,
another
man.
mother. The guy that I
Always
love.
pleasure, man.
The guy has been with me through thick and through thin.
Yeah, two things.
You know, you've seen it all. You've heard my cries, and you came through today. I said, do me a favor, come down. You came all the way down from Stewart
Okay.
just to come to this podcast, bro. And, you know, to grace me and Sugar Rashad, bro.
Thankful.
That
Thank
was
you.
awesome. And Rashad, you know, it was great. What do you think about these casts, Rashad?
Amazing. I love how we did the panel today. It was just kind of good, open discussion, and I felt like, you know, it went somewhere, you know, good talks.
Awesome.
We need to get Mike on the show. We need to get Willie on the show. So I don't know if I mentioned, Cleveland is the nephew of a big civil attorney, Willie Gary, who they call him the Giant Killer. Very, very successful, has a huge law practice. And Willie, I guess, grew up in the shadows of one of the most successful attorneys, I guess, in America.
That would be a story.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we didn't touch base about that, but you know, your uncle, you know, back we're talking 20 years ago, he bought his own 747 airplane.
Wow.
I mean, it was called Wings of Justice.
Wow.
And he used to invite me on the plane. The dude, Willie's about what, 5'6", 5'7"?
About your height.
Yeah. Anyway,
Just kidding,
he would say,
man.
Mike Sherman, you know, come on down, we're going, you know, come to my party, my Christmas party. And Willie and Cleveland would say, come on, Mike. He goes, Mike, there's going to be Chris Tucker there. There's going to be Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow.
There's going to be Howard Hewitt from Shalimar. You just got to be cool, Mike. You got to be cool. I said, man, I'm cool. I'm cool,
You can't
baby.
tell Mike to be cool.
I'm cool. And we had some good times, man.
Yeah, well, Mike, it's always a pleasure, man. And, you know, meeting you, Rashad, it made my day, man.
You've been a big
thank
fan
you,
of
man,
his,
too.
man. It's great
I'm a
getting
big
you
fan of
guys
his.
around. You know,
Yeah,
you guys are icons in your own, you know, sports and stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Well, listen, thank you so much. This is Mike Sherman for the best podcast in the game, Sugar and Sugar and Sherm with Cleveland Gary, Dante Stalon, Billy White, Peter Phortelo, Rourke Smith, Sugar Rashad Evans, Mike Sherman. We'll see you next week on another great podcast. Thanks for watching.